Hello, YouTube divers. This is WaterDive 122, and I want to welcome you all to another episode of Bands of the Alphabet. Last time we talked about my favorite band that starts with the letter M, and today we are on to the letter N. And it's kind of a no-brainer for a lot of people, including myself. Um, and when you hear a song of theirs that is on the radio, you're like, that's my childhood right there. I am talking about Seattle grunge heroes Nirvana. Yep, I'm going with Nirvana here for my letter N band, mainly because they're freaking amazing. I mean, they're one of the best power trios to have ever recorded in the freaking studio. They are one of the most important bands. They made some of the most important work to grunge, and they were one of those bands that completely killed the hair metal era in the early 90s. Um, with their 1991 album Nevermind, which is my favorite Nirvana album. And I'm pretty sure for a lot of Nirvana fans, it would also be their favorite Nirvana album. Um, Usually it's between Nevermind and In Utero, which came out in 1993. Another freaking killer album. But in my opinion, Nevermind is basically like a more killer, more important, more influential album compared to In Utero. And let me explain. So when Nevermind came out, this was 1991, and this was right at the birth of the Seattle grunge movement. You know, with bands like Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and probably Stone Temple Pilots, and of course Nirvana. With Nevermind, I mean, Alice in Chains did release Facelift in 1990, which kind of saw where the grunge movement was going, and then this album came. By this, I mean Nevermind. Then Nevermind came out, and it blew everything up. And even though Nevermind is not really one of my favorite albums of all time, it is so flippin' close. Um, um, the musicianship on this record is absolutely killer. With Kurt Cobain on vocals and guitar, Chris Novoselic on bass, and Dave Grohl on drums. Grohl would eventually go and form the Foo Fighters, who I talked about in a previous video. Who I guess would also be considered to be part of the Seattle grunge movement. I don't really know, but um, when it comes to how big this album was and all the albums that were surrounding it, I mean, Bad Motorfinger by Soundgarden, 10 by Pearl Jam, and 10 by Pearl Jam, just to name a few. Um, you would basically see that Nevermind was basically just stood on top of those albums, and 10 and Bad Motorfinger are two freaking amazing albums by two amazing bands, no doubt about that. Um, and then later on down the stretch, you would see bands feeding from the success of this album. Like take for example in 1992 when Stone Temple Pilots' Core came out, and Alice in Chains released Dirt, which is another one of the greatest albums of all time. And then you look at 1993, and Nirvana comes back with In Utero, as previously mentioned. Um, you also have the second album from Pearl Jam, which is Versus, and and of course Purple from Stone Temple Pilots. I think that came out in 1994. I could be wrong. Um, so forgive me there. Um, but overall, what I'm basically trying to say is that I really think it was Nevermind that these terrific albums absolutely fed the success off of. I mean, with Dirt and with Super Unknown by Soundgarden, with um, Verses by Pearl Jam, and of course with Core and Purple from Stone Temple Pilots, you would see, I mean, I guess you would kind of see like the loudness and the energy that Nevermind had, even though Nevermind is kind of in a league of its own. There's no denying that Nevermind is definitely one of the most important albums to have ever been recorded. And when this album came out, it was honestly a game changer. People absolutely adored this record, and for a lot of for a lot of folks growing up in the late '80s and early '90s, it would be a sign of nostalgia and bring back great childhood memories for them. I, of course, was not alive in the '90s, so I'm not really that nostalgic for this album. But "Smells Like Teen Spirit," in of its own self, is more than a freaking classic. It is a what I consider to be some of the best grunge songs ever written. Um, "Smells Like Teen Spirit" is obviously my favorite Nirvana song, and it's honestly what got me into Nirvana, which is how I got into Nevermind. "Come As You Are" and "Lithium" are also great tracks, no doubt about that. But when it comes to "Smells Like Teen Spirit," that song in of its own self, just, I mean, it's the opener of this album. What a freaking way to open an album, am I right? "Smells Like Teen Spirit" is no doubt a game-changing song. I mean, those four chords that Kurt Cobain plays at the start of the song just absolutely killed the glam metal 80s era. Without a freaking doubt. So yeah, what more can I say? Nirvana freaking smokes. And I absolutely love this band. And now when it comes to the honorable mentions, at first I thought I was going to struggle to find some worthy honorable mentions, but the more I kind of dug in, the more I realized it was not as bad as I thought. First honorable mention goes to Nine Inch Nails. Yes, the Nine Inch Nails. Nine Inch Nails, I won't lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Nine Inch Nails, but they do have that like alternative hard rock, alternative metal, that type of sound, kind of like Deftones stuff. And I really happen to like the song "Hurt." "Hurt" is an amazing song. Really love that track. Do I think that Nine Inch Nails deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? I would say kinda. Again, I don't really know Nine Inch Nails that well. Not as well as Nirvana. But Nine Inch Nails, from what I've heard, they're a decent band. And then we go to the Scottish hair metal band Nazareth, with, I think they've only released one album, Hair of the Dog. Hair of the Dog is one of those albums where you ask any glam metal fan about Nazareth, I guarantee you they would probably talk about Hair of the Dog. Hair of the Dog is in my opinion, one of the best glam metal albums to have ever been recorded. It's really iconic. And then lastly, we got a solo artist on here, Mr. Neil Diamond, simply because he created Sweet Caroline. And of course, I will try and listen to other stuff from him, aside from the heavily overplayed Sweet Caroline. But Sweet Caroline is probably one of my all-time favorite songs. It's absolutely killer. But, yeah. So, Nine Inch Nails, Nazareth, and Neil Diamond take my honorable mentions list for the letter N. And, so yeah, winner of today's Bands of the Alphabet goes to Nirvana. Solid 10 out of 10. Freaking amazing band. What more can I say? So, tune in next time for my favorite band that starts with the letter O. That's going to be a fun one. So, with that said, thank you so much for watching, my fellow YouTube divers. This is WaterDive122 signing out, ready to dive into more fun on YouTube. Thanks for watching.